What's up, guys? Iron Books here. I'm gonna be doing my video a little bit quiet today, mostly because it is nighttime. Also, ignore my hair, just got out the shower. Anyways, part 3 of my iRobot review is coming to a close. So now I am 64% exactly on the dot, because I have Storygraphs as my book log app. 64% through of iRobot. Had some interesting stories come up. The reason why I'm doing this so late at night is because I don't want to forget more about what I have just read. So anyways, we go to the first story, where it is specifically a Dr. Calvin story, specifically about her experience with a mind-reading robot. Now, this mind-reading robot is called, where is it? Herbie. There it is. This mind-reading robot is called Herbie. And they basically kept him in containment so that everybody wouldn't be freaked out, and the public wouldn't be freaked out about a robot being able to mind read. Anyways, we also met 4 of the heads for US Robotics. The owner, Dr. Lanning, the head mathematician, Dr. Dobert. Forgot his name, he's not that important though. And then the head technician, which is Dr. Milo, and then Dr. Calvin herself, which is the robot psychiatrist. Dr. Milo was the one that found that figured out the robot had read his mind first, and now Dr. Calvin is having a conversation with Herbie. Interesting thing enough is that since Herbie can read people's minds, he immediately clocks that Dr. Calvin has a love interest. And who is this love interest is Milton. Not Milo, Milton, the technician that I was just talking about before. She, a mid-aged woman, is interested in Milo. And what Herbie basically tells her is that Milton, also has the exact same theories, exact same feelings. And Herbie just tells Dr. Calvin to go ahead and go after him because he has the same feelings. Then later on in the story, we get Bogart. That's what it was, Bogart. We get Bogart having an interaction with Herbie, where, since Herbie can read people's minds, Bogart was talking to Herbie about whether or not Dr. Lanning was retiring, of which Herbie says that he is. And because of that little tidbit of information, I'll say that a little bit later, Bogart has a confrontation with the owner, Dr. Lanning, about his retirement. And not only that, his retirement shifting the company to Bogart specifically. It made it for a very heated conversation between Lanning and Bogart that I kind of found came out of nowhere. I think this is something about it being an older book. Some of the conflicts in these stories and some of the interactions in these stories, I think because it was from an older time, they were just more hostile. They were more rude, ruthless, not as kind. A lot of the interactions in these stories so far has kind of a 0 to 100 really freaking quick of interactions. Anyways. And then we get some contradictions in Herbie's story. The first one being that Dr. Calvin, as she was pursuing Milton, figures out that Milton is actually going to be married soon. And because of that, Dr. Calvin finds out that Milton isn't even interested in Dr. Calvin, which means that Herbie was lying. And like I said a little before, Lanning specifically told Bogart that he wasn't retiring, so he didn't know what the heck Bogart was talking about. And then we finally get a last confrontation with Herbie where Bogart, Lanning, and Dr. Calvin go into Herbie's room, where Dr. Calvin figures out why Herbie had told them lies. It was due to the first law of robotics. You cannot harm a human through action or inaction. Now, how is this not harming them? Basically, since Herbie could read their minds, he didn't want to hurt their feelings emotionally. And so when he read the mind of Dr. Calvin being interested in Milton, he basically lied about Milton being interested in her so that she would have her feelings recognized. When Bogart was talking to Herbie about the company, Herbie read his mind about wanting Lanning to retire and give the company to him. And so he lied about it to Bogart so that he would have better, so that he would feel better mentally, so as to not hurt them, so as to follow the first law. But there's a contradiction in Herbie's logic, which Calvin points out to Herbie specifically. The contradiction being is that since Herbie lied to both of them, he is also hurting them in a way because he is lying to them about multiple things. He lied to Calvin about Milton liking her. He lied to Bogart about Lanning retiring. And so because of this, he hurt them in that way. And Herbie, realizing that he was contradicting his own programming, basically short-circuited and fucking died. And it was very, very cruel how Dr. Calvin did it, because she was yelling, screaming at him. And then finally, hold on. And then finally, Herbie basically short circuits and stops working. And here's what she says here. I'll give out the quote here. Lanning was on his knees beside the thing that had been Herbie. His fingers touched the cold, unresponsive metal face, and he shuddered. You did that on purpose. He rose and faced her, face contorted. This is Lanning responding. What if I did? You can't help it now. And a sudden access of bitterness. He deserved it. Calvin is a cruel character. Very cruel, in my opinion. Anyways, we go to the next story, which is interesting. So first off, it starts off with Dr. Calvin and Bogart going to a specific space facility that is holding some robots, and they are basically focusing on interstellar travel in the space system. Also, fun little fact, a robot was the one that created interstellar travel. Interesting stuff there. To the point of where not even humanity, not even the humans that were overlooking this robot, knew what the heck it did. Super interesting stuff. And then we get a little bit of an interesting thing, because this space facility is held by a specific military general, Connor. And they were running into some problems with the robots, working with the workers. The workers are in dangerous situations. Hold on, let me make sure this is still recording. Okay, it is. The workers are working in dangerous situations. And so because of this, whenever something that is potentially dangerous would happen, basically the irradiation of where the workers were working at, a robot would fly in and take them out of the workplace due to it being dangerous. Which obviously hampers the progress, because the workers know it's dangerous and they need to work on whatever they're working on. But because it's dangerous, the robots freak out and take them out. A weird cycle. And so because of this, they had to change the first law in a few of the robots. How did they change this? They basically took one aspect out of the rule. So they still kept that the robots cannot harm a human, but they took out that a robot cannot allow a human to be hurt through inaction. Basically meaning that if they see a human in danger, they don't have the instinct to help them. All they have is the instinct to not hurt them. Interesting stuff that changes dynamics, right? Main thing is that it allows the workers to work in peace without being dragged out of the room every 5 seconds. But what this led to was some weird instructions being held. First off, the actual incident as to why Dr. Calvin and Boger are there is because one of the robots was instructed to get lost, to basically hide themselves. And because this one robot is also one of the robots that has the first law changed, it adds a bit of speculation and mystery to it, because this robot is now hiding with the others. Which led Dr. Calvin to basically create an experiment where all of the robots would observe a man having a weight slam on top of them. Of course, they will be saved last minute by a beam that was in the room as well, but the robots didn't know that. All they were told was that the object would fall on the man and to save them. Eventually, we get to a point where the robots, every single one of them would save the human. Which means that one of the robots is lying. Because like I said before, one of the robots doesn't have to save the human. One of the robots doesn't have the instinct to prevent a human from hurting through inaction. Very interesting stuff, and I assume the reason why it still helps the human because of that is because it's trying to get lost. It's trying to hide itself from the person that it was instructing with. And so Dr. Calvin created another test to where a bunch of electricity pulses were set between the barrier and the robots and the human. The weight dropped, and no robot came to it. Why? Because one of the robots, the one that has the first law tweaked, told the other robots that it was basically useless to go after and save the human because of the barrier of electricity. They would die along with the human. No point in saving them. Very interesting stuff, guys. Very interesting stuff that definitely got me on the edge of my seat in terms of entertainment. It was a very weird and complex idea that I was really invested in. The tweaking of laws, right? The same thing with Speedy during Donovan and Powell's story, right? The tweaking of certain laws are creating weird scenarios where robots are basically overriding their program, kind of, in a sense. Their original programming, I guess. Eventually, we get to a situation where Dr. Calvin has separated all the robots so that the one robot that is tweaked is not able to communicate with the others. And because of this, Dr. Calvin puts herself into a situation where she is being put through radiation. Now, as with the same thing of the electric scenario, there is a big danger that will destroy the robot along with Dr. Calvin, which means that the robot's first instinct should not be to help her, because if they die in the process of trying to help her and she dies anyways, what was the point? And so she set up the scenario, making sure that each robot was separated, and then she started the test, where a weight fell on her while she was in radiation, and only one robot came out to help, which was the one that was tweaked. The reason why was because of the instinct it had in terms of its older programming. It thought that the other robots would go after Dr. Calvin due to the weight being dropped on it, but the thing that was different was that there wasn't actually radiation in the room. I'm pretty sure. Yes. It was only infrared. Every single robot was told that it was radiation, but when the other robots finally looked at what was happening, they didn't know what the radiation would do to Dr. Calvin, and they would have suspected that it would kill them, and so they didn't go after. While the other robot knew what would happen, knew they had some time, knew that the infrared light that was not radioactive would not have killed him, and so he got up to go save her. Crazy reaction, to the point of where the robot was potentially wanting to kill Calvin due to not wanting to be found out, due to not wanting to disobey an order of being lost. Very interesting stuff, guys, that I am I'm slightly confused by, but heavily intrigued nonetheless. And this one had some big horror elements in it, definitely. And we get more hints of robots feeling superior and not wanting to be under the foot of humanity. And also a constant thing that's mentioned throughout this book is that robots are slaves. And Dr. Calvin makes this a point many, many times that the only reason this master-slave scenario works is because the robots are programmed to listen to humanity. A weird, uneasy topic to get onto, but one that definitely does need to be talked about, and it does bring interesting things to the table. Anyways, guys, I am so ready to continue on with the book. I'm ready to finish this bad boy. So, let's see. I think we have 2 chapters left. Let me actually look and see. We have 3 chapters left. 3 chapters left, so I should be able to get this done by next week. Who knows, though. But anyways, guys, that will be it for the third part of my iRobot review. I'll see you guys next time. Please comment. Please subscribe.